Oh, that'll be interesting. That will definitely piss off the power scalers. Definitely include that. And this will be good for the theorists too.
Oda-sensei, I just read the draft for Sabaody Archipelago. It seems a little flat. What about introducing a rival?
What? Oh, no. How dare you? We've got Blackbeard and Colby. Once he's stronger, of course.
I get that, but what about a really punk dude with scars or a sexy tight-pants doctor that's the definition of tsundere? We can do a music dude, a monk.
I don't know.
What about a pale voodoo shaman with weird eyebrows? Or a hot chick?
Hot chick, you say? Yes. Yes. A dimple here. The brilliance is flowing. Oh, and we're definitely going to do something I was going to do with another character. And finally, a female antagonist to rival that of my main pro-tycoon.
Whatever gets you motivated, Senpai.
I've outdone myself again. How's it going, Warlords? The Dark Britain is back, and a huge thank you to Sophie Senpai for helping us start off this video. As we start the month of July, I want to get something started in the One Piece community. It is the 25th birthday of Oda's beloved series, so in the comments, and if you like, anytime you post about One Piece this month, show how long you've been a part of the community with the hashtag OPX25. What's the blank, you ask? Well, that's you. How many years have you been a part of the crew? For instance, Joy Girl Senpai started this journey in 2020, so she'd be hashtag OP2 of 25. Meanwhile, myself, who is ancient, would be hashtag OP17 of 25. It's finally time! This is primarily a One Piece channel, so it's very late, but finally, we're able to drop a watch list on why everyone should join the crew and watch or read One Piece. This deep dive is not about adventure or the friends you make along the way. This is about good old-fashioned rivalries. No matter whether it takes place on the pitch or the court, in reality or in fiction, rivalries are an amazing part of the lived experience. There are many of us whose adolescence consisted of such engagements, and the concept of rivalries has evolved into a cultural juggernaut. Don't believe me? Walk into your local pub, shout out that the home team is garbage and their rival is the best. I'll meet you at the hospital. As we embark on this essay, as of this recording, One Piece has passed 1,040 chapters alongside 1,015 anime episodes, and it is preparing for what feels like entering into the twilight years of its run. And such provides an excellent canvas to draw such lines across. And when taking into account the brilliance within character designs and motivations, this series provides the best landscape for examination. The narrative of One Piece is so vast and complex that the main pro-tycoon has a multitude of rivals. Later, we will parallel the philosophical rivals that Ichiro Oda was able to create. But before that, an analysis must be done on the ideological rivals Luffy and the readers were introduced to upon landing at Sabaody Archipelago, the Supernovas. And within these individuals presents a goal or quest that places them in direct opposition to our beloved Monkey Boy. At least, that is the case for the majority of the Supernovas. First thing to address is the inclusion of Roronoa Zoro and Killer. Both of these men serve as the right hand to their captains, and while both do not serve as a definite rival to Luffy, there's the case for them being rivals to each other, which allows the perfect foil to understand the dynamic of rivalry that will be utilized with Monkey D. Luffy. We have found out quite easily during the Wano arc, these two have been contrasted not only in how they engage with their crews and their captains, but also how they pair off with each other. This is being said not to piss off the power scalers, but the fact of the matter is that Zoro beat Killer 1v1. They were both significantly nerfed in the fight, but the winner is still Roronoa. This fact even covered when they took on the Emperors in the Roof Beast saga. Zoro and Killer add so much to the concept of rivalries, even though they are not directly opposed to our protagonist. In such instances show the true brilliance of Oda. When the 8 members are held in comparison to our monkey lad, each provides a reflection of Monkey D. Luffy in certain areas or approaches towards this world. Such influences the One Piece narrative in their own right and have somewhat been in competition to shape the new era. A simple, yet incredible example of this would be the place that Gang Dej played in Whole Cake Island. We come to learn that he is a harbinger of chaos, similar to Luffy, yet is also defined by a trait that Luffy lacks. This being love. We, thankfully, do not have to deal with Oda shipping various characters, so in essence serves as an unchallenged rival concept. However, he serves as an excellent rival at the tea party in regards to who can wreck a celebration. But thankfully, that is all that Luffy cares to compete with him in. In Basil Hawkins, even though he did not directly challenge Luffy, his approach to becoming the Pirate King was even more opposed as law is to Luffy's personality. I shall explain. Basil Hawkins is tethered to the results of his pharaoh cards. They provide the path for him to make his decisions. Luffy, I probably shouldn't be laughing so quickly. Luffy is the complete opposite of that. He lives by no rules or literal cards of fate. Each entered the new world with a different approach on how they would go, and Hawkins' adherence to the cards served to be his downfall. Currently in Wano, we have another 4 Supernovas that have not been accounted for, each presenting himself as a rival to our beloved monkey in their own right, while still having 2 individuals that have not really been fleshed out so far in the story. Initiating this are the undercover agents Diaz X Drake and Scratchman Apu. Drake brings to this discussion that of the underlying influence that the Navy seeks to have in all realms. However, his goal seems to be the downfall of an emperor, and that places them directly rival that of Monkey D. It took a long time for this type of rivalry, but not as long as the latter supernovas covered in this list. When it comes to Apu, a certain line that is mentioned multiple times throughout the narrative of the New World is that pirates always betray one another. This is not the case for Luffy in the alliances that he forms, and how he uses them to get where he wants to be, and that is to have a good time. And Apu represents the freedom and party side that our protagonist brings, along with a complete opposition to Luffy's stance on alliances. I would not be surprised if Luffy's dream is to have the world's biggest party. And if I have learned anything from the Golden Kagura Festival, that is definitely Apu's goal as well. An interesting rival to have along in the story, in both their love of celebrations, but most importantly, their mindset on how they view those alongside them on the journey. Before we discuss the 2 clearest examples, let's first touch on those that have not truly entered the fray of the story. Bonnie and Arubu. Bonnie's Luffy's eating rival, which is hilarious. The thought of them trying to outglutton each other during a banquet-ending party is something I truly look forward to seeing. In the aspect of Bonnie's role, I believe that she will be the last of the princess in need of saving figure during the final saga of One Piece. Nothing really to back that up other than her presence in Marijwa during the mini Rivalry arc. But regardless of what her purpose was there, she is positioning herself in direct opposition to the Celestial Dragons, a role that is something our protagonist is unknowingly racing towards. With Arouge, his devil fruit is pound for pound what worries me the most when facing up against Luffy. He takes damage and sends it back, and this is seemingly just physical damage. Things like lasers and punctures with swords have been able to wreck this monk, but in a pure slugfest, well, when it comes to a rival that can go blow to blow, I am very interested in seeing this matchup. His goals are unknown, but it can be inferred that his ability to take damage is unrivaled, or so we shall see. At this point in the recording, we are at the climax of the Wano arc. Revelations are happening, battles are coming to a conclusion, and the fandom as a whole is a constant culmination of enraged, confused, or in sheer bliss. The parallels between Luffy and Law are ones that many may not notice through their incessant argument. However, along with them being members of the Will of D, many may not have noticed the common thread that connects these two as rivals, until you understand the nature of Law's new goal in the aftermath of Dressrosa. While on Wano, Law alludes to wanting to learn more about his checkered fate, a notion in direct opposition to the world government. While not a one-for-one as far as goals, the risk to the world government reflects their latent rivalry in their paths. Luffy to be the king of the pirates, and the other to learn the truth of the Will of D. Useless Kid is the most simple rival to Monkey D. Luffy. He wants to be a great pirate, full stop, and is really one of the few of the Supernovas that have signified interest in finding the One Piece. In fact, this trajectory was set after Luffy punches the Celestial Dragon in the auction house. Afterwards, Luffy, Law, and Kid stood next to each other when facing the Navy, and Kid was quite surprised when Luffy mentioned that he was going after the One Piece. Kid has always had the same goal, and we learned that his ruthlessness towards civilians happened when they laughed at this goal. In direct contrast to Luffy letting Bellamy and his thugs laugh and beat them upon first coming to Jaya, Kid would have laid waste to that entire town. A needed rival, and please, dear Oda, someone that will become more of a powerhouse in future arcs. Within the second aspect of this rival breakdown, the rivalry switched to a more philosophical approach. The alignment system is a philosophical model that crosses the aspects within good versus evil and law versus chaos. Such creates a useful Punnett square that consolidates these dichotomies into 9 segments representing a certain variant, such creating a gradient that places personal attitudes for characters within various comparisons to be aligned. In utilizing this framework for One Piece, the 5 aspects of neutral good, lawful neutral, neutral, chaotic neutral, and neutral evil will not be covered. Nothing against these aspects, but for this later half of our essay, we want to focus on Kobe, Blackbeard, and Akainu. With these 3 individuals, we will find the foil to our protagonist that essentially sits on the opposite side of the square. But first, the brilliance of this philosophical model must be given the proper framework that is through our beloved protagon. Luffy represents chaotic good, the rebel, and I quote, "A chaotic good character acts as his conscience directs him with little regard for what others expect from him. He makes his own way, but he's kind of benevolent. He believes in goodness and right, but has little use for laws and regulations. He hates it when people try to intimidate others and tell them what to do. He follows his own moral compass, which, although good, may not agree with that of society. Chaotic good is the best alignment you can be because it combines a good heart with a free spirit. Chaotic good can be a dangerous alignment when it disrupts the order of society and punishes those that do well for themselves. All hail Oda's writing. Our first rival along this ideological boundary that was introduced is the good boy that has warmed our hearts since the earliest days of the story. He is the essence of lawful good, and his introduction, although working for a pirate, established the foundation for the Chad Kobe to flourish. The 9 alignments list lawful good character as a crusader. Engagement in the Marineford War is paramount when seeking to understand this about Luffy's first rival. The alignment even states that those within this understanding tell the truth, keep their word, and always speak against injustice. Apparently, even if that means you may be melted by a giant magma fest. Narratively in this piece, I want to next bring to the spotlight Into the Darkness and examine the role of Marshall D-Teach. His personality reflects that of chaotic evil and places himself the opposite of Luffy in the chaotic category. Now, I know that there are those watching this that may have a certain gut response to him being considered a rival, especially when he has been moving behind the scenes far before our dear monkey lad was even born. But everything about his personality serves to rival that of Luffy, and his introduction is the perfect example of that. As with the introduction of Kobe, the introduction of Blackbeard serves as a narrative lens by which to examine this rivalry. Upon meeting Luffy, Kobe yearned for freedom and the mechanisms to liberate others. This was juxtaposed against Luffy not only freeing him from his physical condition, but his mental prison as well. Comparing this to how we meet Blackbeard, it is a display of their opposing nature, almost along the flipping of a coin. Luffy loves the beer that Blackbeard hates, and Blackbeard loves the pie that Luffy thinks tastes terrible, all culminating in the declaration of Blackbeard, "A man's dreams never end." It seems a little lofty for someone that is chaotic evil, but it does seem like the perfect summation of both Luffy and Blackbeard's ideology. What we will be witness to in the final act of One Piece is the war over how they differ in reaching that objective. And it should be mentioned that while Luffy possesses a fruit that frees and liberates people, Blackbeard holds one that confines and captures. As we get to the final rival introduced, it is quintessential to understand the placement for the introduction of Sakazuki, aka Akainu. Many of you watching this video are thinking that the Admiral was first introduced in the story during Marineford. The initial image of the 3 admirals hiding his face added to the mystique, but we have actually been introduced to him far earlier in the story. Because as we wept at Robin's backstory in chapter 397, the viciousness of the military became on full display when a ship that was promised safe passage was brutally burned to the ground, because nobody escapes O'Hara. That chill that just went down your spine is warranted, because what else can best describe lawful evil than an ideology that helped to solidify the cruelty of evil? This is the big bad that the government represents. And what a good potential final antagonist. Because as our new monkey lad is now becoming a god to those in need of refuge, what better rival than one whom snuffed out the hope for freedom for so many, so nonchalantly. Like NAKAMA, there are many series in anime and media that serve to show us the beauty of conflict between opposing ideologies and individuals. But One Piece brings with it a literal world of examples. As shonen media and stories go, this will be one for the ages. As we move forward towards the end of the series, much can be said about the rivalries that the story itself had within the world we reside. During my youth, Bleach and Naruto were considered rivalries to the story in the weeb sphere, and as One Piece begins to become more mainstream, its world and characters will rival that seen within Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. But that is an essay for another day. Until then, my NAKAMA, watch more One Piece. Hey you! Yeah you! The amazing NAKAMA that made it to the end of our content. Hi! I'm the Dark Briton with the Runaway Warlords, and I'd like to personally say thank you for being able to check out our video. If you like what we have, go ahead and subscribe. That'll really be able to help you out. If you want to check out another video, we have one right here. And also, we have a lovely playlist for you to check out right there. I'm the Dark Briton of the Runaway Warlords. Thank you so much for being with us on this journey. We'll catch you next time. Peace.